Welcome to Kit Katastrophe. My name is Kit, and today we'll be taking a look at Transformers Studio Series Deluxe Class World War II Bumblebee. This figure came out in 2018 as part of Wave 5 of the Deluxe Assortment, and represents one of Bumblebee's appearances in the 2017 film Transformers: The Last Knight. In an astonishing turn of events, World War II Bumblebee doesn't transform into the Mercedes-Benz he disguised himself as while fighting for the Allies. No, this figure's alternate mode is a Humber light reconnaissance car, a British armored car from the 1940s, and in traditional British fashion, it's completely unremarkable and boring. Why there wasn't even an attempt at some sort of weathering effect or camouflage pattern is beyond me. I mean, the real things had camouflage. This alternate mode is just a monochrome lump of flimsy shit green plastic at best. Okay, I'll be kinder for now. I really like the shape of this alternate mode. It's very angular and tough looking. What little paint there is in this mode is focused on the headlights, as well as a random 52 tampograph under the right one. The mold also features a fair share of sculpted detail, though there still remains vast swathes of empty space, albeit that's accurate to the real thing. As for armament, there is a very non-human turret up top, as well as a long rifled barrel sticking out of the windshield. The barrel can raise and lower too. As you can see just above it, the roof panel doesn't quite like to stay in position. Neither does the back panel either. And if you let it, the side panels will disengage as well. And all these panels are so very thin and flimsy that I feel that coaxing them into position will just end up in turning the things into a broken, gummy mess. Transformation is pretty boring. World War II Bumblebee is an unabashed shell former, though he does feature at least one neat trick with the rotation of the roof panel to reveal his hammer. The rotation of the shoulder assemblies is also pretty cool, at least if they don't get caught on the armor cape, that is. Too bad that the shoulders themselves do a piss-poor job of actually pegging into place. The legs actually take a valiant effort to integrate as much of the vehicle shell as they possibly could, and as I'll mention in robot mode, are very adequate. Still, there's no real wow factor to this conversion scheme. That being said, going back into vehicle mode can be a right ball ache due to all the tabs you have to keep track of that just won't cooperate. Despite World War II Bumblebee's degenerate transformation scheme, his robot mode actually looks fairly decent. From the front, of course. Around the back you begin to see the compromise. Disregarding that, Bumblebee's robot mode looks fairly strong and well proportioned. My favorite piece of design in this robot mode would be the lower legs, partially due to the angles making them up, partially due to how the front tires were integrated into the calf. It all comes together for this je ne sais quoi that really tickles my fancy. The upper body is also very nicely sculpted, and the head sculpt is very classically Bumblebee. But he's still unpainted. It looks to me that the lion's share of this wave's paint budget went to Sideswipe, meaning Bumblebee got stuck with the absolute bare minimum when it comes to color. There are a couple errant numbers thrown about on this person, as well as gunmetal and silver accents on his thighs and arms respectively. His head receives some attention from the gunmetal brush, as well as some nice allspark blue to make the eyes pop. Also, there's a tiny, almost imperceptible Autobot symbol printed on Bumblebee's crest in a muddy dark paint. You can barely sense its presence in just the right lighting conditions, but it's there all the same. Bumblebee only comes with two accessories, both of which were visible in vehicle mode. First is his pistol, which was on top of Bumblebee's turret. It looks something of a cross between Barricade's Gatling bracelet and Hot Rod's Stop the Time gun, except in pistol form. It features some nice silver paint on each of its 8 barrels. The other accessory is a hammer, which had formed the elongated barrel through the windshield. In actuality, it represents the hammer Bumblebee wielded in the second act fight with Optimus Prime in The Last Knight. I don't have a Last Knight Bumblebee to see if he can hold this weapon, but if you do have one, feel free to try. Leave a comment if it fits. The hammer itself has 2 grip sections, and coupled with Bumblebee's joints, he can wield the hammer with both hands! Speaking of those joints... Now is the time for the final solution to answer the articulation question. Yes, he has a ball-jointed head. Isn't that nifty? It actually has some really good range all the way around, and it can bobble up and down very happily. Some may describe it as loose, but it's not going to move on its own. It's just very easy to bump out of place. So be careful with that. He has a ball-jointed shoulder that goes all the way forward, and as you can see, the shoulder joints really love to disengage themselves from the main body at any opportunity. Seriously, these things are super annoying. They are liable to just pop out at random times while you're moving him, and it gets very frustrating. They go all the way out, so he can, in fact, and he has a bicep swivel that goes all the way around, and yes, it's... His elbow goes all the way forward at just about a 90-degree angle, which is very good. And at the wrist, he can fold his wrist in like he's cupping his nuts. At the waist, he can spin just a little bit in either direction. Not so much anything really acrobatic, but it does help with natural movement. And no, getting rid of the backpack doesn't really help either. So you won't get a full 360-degree range on that waist swivel, but it is enough for most poses. At the hips, he has ball joints that go all the way forward, about a 90-degree angle from his spine, and if you bring back the backpack, they can go all the way backwards. But they can't go all the way outwards, so he has no luck scraping his taint. The thigh swivels go all the way around, which is very nice, and the knee bends a little under 90 degrees, which is almost good, but not quite. Into the trash this figure goes. And that's it! He has nothing else. Nothing at the feet, and no other joints to speak of, so yeah, Bumblebee is not that posable, which is a damn shame. Now, this figure is nowhere near the best Studio Series has to offer, but I don't feel comfortable writing it off as a pass outright. World War II Bumblebee actually does some really cool things, such as his weapon storage and the way his legs are formed during transformation. I also have a soft spot for World War II. I competed in the National World War II Quiz Bowl twice back in high school. You can find when I competed in on YouTube. And I'd love to see some more World War II era vehicles be turned into transforming robots. I'm hemming and hawing on whether I'm going to get World War II Hot Rod. If it turns out his construction is superior to Bumblebee's, then I'm definitely going to get him. If not, maybe I'll pass. Still, while World War II Bumblebee may not be a great figure at all, if you can find him on clearance somewhere, I'd say it wouldn't hurt much to give him a chance. If you liked this video, please share it and subscribe. This has been Katastrophe. Transform and roll out.